I'm Noemie, and along with my partner Remi, we became the Wildcrafters. After building ourselves a tiny house, then a log cabin, we went on a 3-month trip during the pandemic, living the van life up north in a little teardrop camper we also made from scratch. These days, we are bringing you on a different path by challenging ourselves to make a unique and beautiful Airbnb from an old abandoned house. All that in 2 months, my friends. Hold on tight, because this is gonna be a wild ride. This week was our first week working, the three of us, Remi, Jeremy, and I, inside the old house, which we co-own together. After spending the last couple weeks at home preparing for this time, it felt both exciting and a bit overwhelming as well, at least for me. Something you might not know is that construction in general is something that is far beyond the limits of my comfort zone, and each new building project tends to bring up a lot of contradicting emotions within me. A part of me wishes to not do it, if I'm being completely transparent. I have this voice in my head that keeps telling me it's gonna be dusty, dirty, noisy, and I won't have any time left for myself after spending my days and all my energy doing something I don't particularly enjoy. But there's also another part of me that seems to see beyond all this and wants to be part of those projects along with my partners, mainly because there's this one thing I love so much and which is my main why for wanting to do all this. I love developing potentials. This is a feeling I'm living for. I love seeing a blank canvas and transforming it to a piece of art. I love seeing an ugly house and watch it bloom into a chic cottage. I love making gardens from wastelands, and I can't have enough of this wonderful impression of making this world a bit more beautiful. I'm ready to put myself through incredible discomforts to get those feelings that makes me thrive. And this whole reflection inspired me to open that discussion with you and maybe help some of you overcome the fear and also find what makes you thrive in this world. So as you watch us demolishing what's left to take out from the house and start the tedious process of redoing all the electricity and walls, let me give you our best 5 tips to handle and complete any project you're looking to accomplish. Tip number 1. Find your why. This is probably something you've heard before, but it is nonetheless very important. You need a big reason why you're doing this project, so when things get difficult, you know from the bottom of your heart this is worth pushing through. You need to find something that brings you motivation through inspiration, not through fear. This could be something like, I want to be free financially, or I want to have more time to travel, or even I want to inspire people to find their purpose. It should not be like, I need to do this so I won't starve. I have to because if I fail, people would be disappointed in me. You get the difference by now, I'm pretty sure. Take some time to really reflect on your deep motivations and write them down. Tip number 2. Make a schedule. We made the mistake of not creating schedules in the past, and it really was a pain to try and evaluate how much time we needed to invest in our different projects. We always ended up very short on time, and it rapidly became chaos in our lives. Make a schedule, planning chunks of time to work on your different tasks, making sure to leave more time than you think it's going to take so you make it up for the inevitable problems or new tasks that comes up. This little plan you then have for yourself can serve 2 purposes. It is of course a good way to realistically manage your time, and also it takes most of your to-do list out of your head and onto a piece of paper, which will definitely free up your brain from all the mental clutter that can come with very ambitious endeavors. For this house makeover, for example, we created a general schedule for the entire renovations, and we also have a weekly plan that we fine-tune at the beginning of each week. Now on to tip number 3. Take time to rest and recover. This one is a bit related to our last tip. It is crucial that you pace yourself and plan out enough time to rest and recover, especially if your project is quite demanding physically or mentally. It can be tempting to rush through it, but believe us speaking from experience here, it is absolutely not productive or beneficial in any way to neglect your basic needs to get more work done. It is even counterproductive, as the more you drain out your inner batteries, the more you're at risk of not reaching your goals at all. Motivation, focus, and productivity are only possible through a healthy and well-rested host, especially for longer-term ventures. Tip number 4. Stay in the present. I know that after I told you to carefully plan what is ahead of you, it sounds weird to now tell you to stay in the present moment, right? But this is actually one of the best tips ever. And as simple as it sounds, I just learned it from Remi this week. I was a bit discouraged at the perspective of spending the next 7 weeks working on this thing, and he told me that one of my bad habits is to project myself too much in the next task, and this is how I get overwhelmed while we build things. Now that our plan is all on paper, I actually don't have to think ahead once the schedule is done, and in the execution part that we are now in, all that I have to do is to focus on my present task, then jump to the next when it is done. Maybe you are familiar with the whole concept of eating an elephant thing, which I find is a weird metaphor to tell you to just take one bite at a time instead of trying to eat the whole thing all at once. It makes total sense, but it is something that I feel is an issue for most people, myself totally included, and being conscious of it can make the difference between quitting or achieving your goal. And finally, tip number 5. Find your joy. Even if you're in the rather unpleasant part of your project, there's always somewhere you can find a bit of joy. As I mentioned, construction is really uncomfortable for me, and yet I find little things to bring me joy daily, like listening to good music or packing a specially delicious lunch. I tend to respond very well to treats, so I make sure to reward myself on the daily and also try to be of good spirit with my partners, as a good work mood can do a lot to go through rough patches. Find things that are good for you and that you really do enjoy to brighten up your days. Get something you can feel excited about, even if it's just listening to a good audiobook or drink a warm tea. You just can't go wrong by trying to make room for more joy in your days, right? I truly believe that these simple tips can make big goals much more manageable and achievable for everybody. I'm sure there is so much more I could have mentioned, but if you have any tips that you feel might be helpful as well, just drop them in the comments and let's help each other out. And on that note, have a good week.